Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Thursday, July 13th, 2023. And our top story today, how much progress are the retirement and financial services industries making in terms of their DE&I goals? And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Fred Makonnen is with Equitable and Kameka Grady is with Lincoln Financial Group. Fred, Kameka, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you both. And we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion goals this morning. Kameka, I'll start with you because the retirement industry, we talk about this all the time as an industry. We're here to serve all Americans, help them achieve financial security and independence. So how much progress have we made in terms of achieving DEI goals and across all demographic groups?
Great question. Thanks, Jeff. So I'll say that I'm extremely optimistic about the progress that we've made so far in our industry and that we're continuing to make. We're really working to make financial services more inclusive. And so when I think about Secure 2.0, for example, and the focus on expanding coverage and increasing access, that certainly is moving the needle toward achieving financial security and independence for all Americans. In particular, when I think about diverse groups and community of color, the auto enrollment, auto escalation, in-plan guarantees, and emergency savings, those features and benefits will have a direct impact on diversity, equity, and inclusion goals.
Yeah,
we know that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kameka.
I was just going to say that we know that for many people, their employer's retirement savings plan is their primary vehicle to create wealth. So it's really important for our industry to invest in the systems, research, and tools to help more people close the wealth gap.
Yeah, and Kameka, I certainly apologize for, it's so hard sometimes when you're on Zoom and to figure out when people are stopping. So I apologize to you on that. Fred, I want to come to you because Kameka, I think, laid it out very well. There's a lot of great efforts here. And I want to ask you, how has the retirement industry and more broadly the financial services industry focused on its efforts to create parity in some of these American communities that Kameka was talking about?
Yeah, I think, maybe I could just piggyback on some of the comments that Kameka made because she was spot on and I share her optimism. Certainly, the wealth gap amongst minorities has been persistent. They're very stubborn, and there are a variety of reasons for it. But the primary is financial exclusion that still exists within these communities. And to Kameka's point, retirement savings is the primary vehicle for most Americans, particularly African Americans and minorities. And the idea of Secure 2.0 reducing that coverage gap, has been the industry's primary objective, right? So think about the advocacy work that went into it. That's the outcome of the industry shaping those policies to make sure that there's broad coverage. 50% of private sectors never had access to retirement vehicles, never participated in it. And the people that were directly impaired were minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. So we think that the industry can do certainly a lot more than they have. I think this is the beginning of reversing some of the trends that we've seen for the last 4 years or so.
Thanks for that, Fred. And Kameka, last question before we go to a commercial break. Part of servicing all Americans is having a workforce that reflects the American workers your industry serves. And what are you and Fred both work for notable firms. What are firms within our industry doing to attract a diverse workforce to service Americans in retirement?
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. This is so important. Attracting a diverse workforce is key because representation matters. And we all know that there are studies that show that when you have a diverse and inclusive organization, you're much more likely to achieve better business outcomes. And so specifically for Lincoln, and what I know that many organizations are doing in our industry, we're setting goals and we're really being intentional about attracting and retaining a diverse workforce, because attracting is just one part of it. And so we specifically at Lincoln have diversity recruiters who are dedicated resources who are really focused on building a pipeline of qualified diverse talent.
And Fred, I'll ask you the same question just to kind of, because I think it's so important to two big industry stalwarts to get your perspective on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as part of our engagement in these minority communities, I think, you think about access to capital as an important step to improving financial inclusion. You think about what our shareholders are doing to hold us as a company accountable. And with our ESG initiatives, D&I is at the very heart of that. And we work with Thurgood Marshall, United Negro Fund to create opportunities, surely introduce them to niche and part of the financial services industries. Take the wholesaler industry as an example. It's been a very exclusionary profession. Having said that, it's a very lucrative profession for an individual that want to get into it. So we work with the organizations like Association for Wholesaler Diversities in partnership with all of our competitors in this space to recognize, recruit, retain, develop these individuals so they can get introduced not only into this marketplace, but they get an opportunity to be successful because of the mentorship and support that comes with it. So we're very, very much engaged, and it's at the forefront of our priority as an organization.
Well, thanks, Fred. Thanks, Kameka. I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about diversity, equity, inclusion, and building a diverse workforce. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Kameka Grady of Lincoln Financial Group and Fred Makonnen of Equitable. Kameka, Fred, thanks so much for staying with us. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2. Fred, before we give ourselves a pass-fail grade on diversity, let's talk about some of the disconnects and how we can overcome them. How can the industry, and I'm talking about the retirement and financial services industries here, how can we continue to make progress? Because there's always, we can be doing a good job, but we can always do things better, and there are always hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, I think one important point to remember is every individual, every ethnic group, racial groups have different unique needs, particularly when it comes to their financial solutions. I think meeting them where they are is a critical step to improving, or at least improving, that disconnection that exists today. So I'll give you an example. So there's a lot of cultural complexes involved in how people decide their financial future. We did a study not that long ago where Asian Americans, African Americans, Hispanics, and white Americans were asked, same household income, how far into the future do you save? And they all had a very different time horizon. And that was informed primarily by their priorities, their short-term priority, mid-term, and long-term. And retirement, as we speak as a financial institution, is not always a top priority for all those groups. So I think it's important to kind of re-engineer how we bring product solution, financial literacy, talk about financial literacy, and improve the savings gap by reorienting the prioritization these groups have and making sure that retirement, long-term savings is a priority in the bigger picture for these individuals. And I think that'll help with that disconnection to some degree.
Yeah, Kameka, just to kind of pivot back to you, many Spark members, many service providers are always coming up with new products, new services. But how do you make sure that these products and services are accessible and available and are appropriate for an underrepresented or community?
Yeah, great question. So I think increasing employee engagement is key. Underrepresented often means historically excluded. And so the point I'm making in terms of employee engagement means that we must drive engagement to create better savings habits. But to piggyback on Fred's point, the way that different cultural groups experience savings, financial psychology, their financial behaviors and savings habits are different. And so what we really have to think about is a personalized approach, tailoring messaging so that it resonates with each of these groups, because diverse communities have different challenges in terms of income, career interruptions due to family caregiving responsibilities, added healthcare considerations, for example. And so we really want to help give everyone the opportunity to build wealth and achieve financial wellness. And so I think really engagement is key to reaching these communities.
And Fred, I think Kameka makes a great point about engagement. You brought up financial literacy previously in our conversation, and inclusion and financial success go hand in hand with financial literacy and financial wellness. I think that most people agree on that. How do we use financial literacy efforts to make sure all communities understand the basics of savings and the importance of retirement? Because you're trying to build something for the future. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to build that nest egg. How do you do that?
It's a great question, and certainly a problem that we need to solve. And it's been on the forefront of everyone's priority, including policymakers, to make that a reality. The challenge is the delivery mechanism for these financial literacies are not always a consistent approach. So, in the same token that we've advocated as an industry to bring Secure 2.0 to reality and provide access to these 50% of the private sector, I think it's important to talk about potentially including financial literacy in our core curriculums within our education system. That's where a lot of these students, particularly with minority backgrounds, that may not even have parents that have access to banking, right? Bring that knowledge back to their communities, to their families, to be able to cultivate and socialize why it's important to understand the basics of finance. And I think that would be a good start and possibly a better outcome with those communities.
And Kameka, I want to get your thoughts on this, because so much of what you talked about, that parity, serving communities, it really does start with understanding basic financial concepts. And even though we're in the industry, you can't know everything, and you have to continually be engaged and educated. So how do we get some of these communities to learn about financial literacy and ultimately be included in the conversation about retirement and retirement savings?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's really about having an inclusive framework to teach the basics. And so I'll give an example of one way that we're actually making the information culturally relevant so that we can connect with diverse groups who didn't grow up maybe having these conversations, who didn't learn the basics and don't have the right financial habits to think about preparing for long-term savings. And so we actually created a program where we're inspiring Black and Hispanic workers specifically, and we're celebrating during Black History Month and during National Hispanic Heritage Month, where we're recognizing their culture, we're honoring their history, we're meeting people where they are, and we're really talking about the basics and how understanding the basics of financial literacy allows you to help your family and your community in general. And then lastly, I'll just say that at Spark, we're working to improve financial literacies as a national strategy and reaching more people. So I'm really excited about the work that we're doing there with financial literacy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Spark efforts, because it does take a whole community in order to engage various communities. I think there's a lot of great work being there. And look, I'm never going to give anyone an A+. How many teachers give out an A+? But I think there's a lot of progress being made, but there's a lot more to be made as well. Fred, Kameka, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for having us.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.